Good morning, Mary. It's great to have you with us on Partners in Crime Tours. How are
Thank you.
you today?
I'm great, Gina. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'd like to introduce everyone to Mary. After 18 years in the legal field and having an overactive imagination, led her to start writing mystery and suspense. Mary is the author of the award-winning Hidden Pieces and Deadly Tides, which I don't have yet since it just released yesterday. Those are both part of the Mystery Pines mystery series. And you also wrote the P.I. Kelly Pruitt mystery series. And you have an upcoming standalone suspense, which we're going to talk about soon. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's jump right in. Deadly Tides, as we said, is the second book in your Mystery Pines mystery series. Can you tell us a little bit about the series?
Yeah, so the series is set down at the Oregon coast. And it's actually, Misty Pines is fictional, but it's actually based on an area of the Oregon coast in which I grew up in. So, and I always knew I wanted to set a series down there because it's so atmospheric and moody with all the, moss hanging off the trees and the mist. It really is foggy quite often down at the Oregon coast. It has beautiful days too. I don't want to not sell it, but it's got a lot in it. And so I just knew it was the perfect setting for a mystery. And I really wanted to have an investigator. I love that small town sheriff feel. So really that's what the series is about. It focuses on Sheriff Jax Turner and his small crew of deputies and their desire to keep Misty Pines safe from crime.
That's amazing. Okay, I have to ask, the covers, when you read or did the first one, and there are all the pine trees in the back. And on the second cover, it's mostly water. And actually, I at first thought it was a desert because of the branch.
Oh, yeah.
But then I had to look at it and I'm like, oh, no, wait, that's water.
It's driftwood.
So I was trying to, I've never been to Oregon. So can you tell us a little bit more about the setting and how these both fit in so well to the books?
Well, it's part of the Oregon coast has a coastal range that you have to get over to get to the ocean. But this is Oregon, Pacific Northwest. We are surrounded in beautiful evergreen trees. And so the tree setting really in Hidden Pieces, it's because the story is centered around a girl that's missing and they believe she's out in the wooded area. That's why I chose that cover for that. And I had a great cover artist, Christian Storm, who designed all of this, Yeah. And then for Deadly Tides, of course, it is about severed feet washing ashore on the Oregon coast. So, red just seemed to fit the theme of the book. And
they're both amazing, but even just the background of the pines versus the water, I was just like, wow, they're so close. I didn't realize that they could both fit so intricately into the book.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think Pacific Northwest in particular is special in that way, is that it's just surrounded by a coastal range that is just beautiful evergreen trees and forest land.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So the main character in both the books is Sheriff Jax Turner. Can you tell us a little bit about him and why you chose him to be the main character?
Yeah, well, in the first book, I'd actually come up with the idea of the crime because the crime was based on a true story, a crime that happened in my hometown. So I'd come up with the case, that it was going to be a cold case. And then I knew I wanted to run a parallel current time. So that was the first part. And then I decided I needed to have the right person in place to do this. And it was funny because like I said, I'd wanted to do a story set down at the Oregon coast, and the true crime, actually the body of the girl that had been murdered from my hometown, was found at the Oregon coast. So that was sort of the tie-in of now was the time to pull this all together and do that. And then I wanted to have the sheriff, and I chose Sheriff Jax Turner because he's a man on a quest for redemption. And I really wanted him to be somebody you root for to succeed. And in the first book, of course, he's searching for a current 14-year-old girl. He messed up the case 25 years ago, which was the cold case. And so he's really looking for redemption. And he's just a combination of men I've known throughout my life, military men. My father, my brother-in-law were military guys, strong, tenacious men in my life, my husband and brothers, so I just really kind of pulled off from all the people I've known and just created this person who kind of is rough a little bit, looking for redemption, but a heart of gold. He'll do anything to get it done. So,
wow, that sounds amazing.
yeah.
And the main character in your last book was P.I. Kelly Pruitt, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what was the differences in writing the female versus the male lead character?
Well, so much actually, and at first I was like, can I pull this off? I wasn't quite sure. But the men and women just think differently. I think we, as a woman, of course, I know what we think. We tend to analyze, we tear it apart, we try to come up with reasons for, excuses for all these things. Men, from what the feedback I got, because I did make sure that I had a man read it, I actually worked with editors to get it right. They tend to not, explain a whole lot. They tend to be a lot more straightforward about these things. They don't always work things to death in their brain about, on an emotional level sometimes. So that was the hardest part of getting it right for me, is just making sure that I approach Jax in a real straightforward kind of way. He just, when he had an opinion about it, he didn't waffle about it, like sometimes we women do. So he didn't second guess himself always, although he does in life in general,
Yeah,
but not always in the moment. So yeah, so that's different.
it sounds like it. A long time ago, I had a guy explain it to me that I just have different boxes and I just put it in a box and then I walk away and I'm done with it. It's like, you can do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a joke once about the nothing box that men actually have it. Like when you ask them, what are you thinking? Nothing, like they're in the nothing box, and that men will admit I wasn't thinking of anything. I'm like, I wish I had that ability. I never stop thinking.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about Deadly Tides and what's going to happen with Sheriff Jax Turner?
Yeah. So in Deadly Tides, life has kind of righted itself a little bit since Hidden Pieces. We've fast forwarded a little bit of time. And he is called on a welfare check to a local surf shop owner, who he finds out later is actually a surf legend. His brother had been talking to him the night before, and the surfer said, hey, I need to go check out noise in the garage. And he never calls his brother back. So Sheriff is out there checking out why he didn't call his brother back, and soon realizes that things don't look quite right. And it leads him out into the forest, and he will find a pool of blood, but no body. And so he has a presumed murder, but he's not sure. And so that sends him out to find out what the surfer was up to and who might have wanted to hurt him if he did. So that's kind of how that works. And then there's also, I really explore Abby in this one. And Abby Keliikoa is Jax's ex-wife, and she's also an FBI agent. And she's called into a case about a severed foot that washed ashore in West Shore, which is about 20 miles away from Misty Pines. And Jax and Abby's cases will kind of run parallel. And then, of course, they'll probably cross at some point.
So can you tell us a little bit more about their relationship for those who have not read Hidden Pieces or gotten to read Deadly Tide yet?
Yeah, so they were married and they had a little girl named Lulu. And they lived in Portland for a while, and then they moved down to the Oregon coast looking for, a little bit quieter life to raise their daughter. And then Lulu got leukemia and died. And that shattered their marriage. They always say that they properly buried it a few years later, but it had really died the day that Lulu died. And Jack shut down is what happened. He didn't want to process his grief, and Abby was a little bit better at that. Unfortunately, she couldn't. She held out as long as she could, and then she had to go. But Jax has come back to life, and of course, he knows he screwed up, and so his quest is to get Abby back. But Abby's got some trust issues because when she needed him most, he wasn't there.
Right.
And so, it's going to be a little bit of a journey back to each other, perhaps. So, but they're working on it. They're crossing paths.
Helps that their cases are crossing and intersecting.
Yeah, I think they like each other. I mean, she likes him and he likes her as people, respects each other, but it's just that trust thing, which, will come into play here in Deadly Tides a little bit.
That's so exciting. Now, Deadly Tides just released yesterday.
It did.
So are you doing any events or anything coming up that we could reach you at or see you at?
Yeah, I've actually got a few things coming up. Let's see. It starts on the 4th. I'll be at the Portland Book Festival from 1 o'clock to 1:30 doing book signings. That's down at the Portland Art Museum in Portland, Oregon. And then on Sunday, I'll be at Barnes & Noble from 1 to 3. That's on the 5th, doing book signing at their new Salem grand opening.
Wow.
And then I'm going to be on TV locally Monday morning on the 6th, getting to talk about Deadly Tides. And then on the 8th, I have my launch party at Copper Bell Bookshop. So, and that's an RSVP event, but, reach out to me through my website and I'll make sure you get all the info on that. So.
That is so exciting. You've got lots going on.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Yeah. Now,
stuff.
even with all this busyness, you have another book coming out, and we kind of hinted about it a little bit before. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what we have to look forward to?
Yeah, so Don't Ask, Don't Follow is a book that comes out on June 4th, 2024. And it's my first standalone and my first domestic suspense. And domestics basically says it's family related, right? So in this case, it's two sisters. And one sister, Lindsay, is a investigative reporter, and Beth is a paralegal in their father's law firm. And one night there's a Christmas party and Lindsay's supposed to be coming to the party, but she's a no-show. And Beth runs back to her office and sees Lindsay running out of her boss's office. She chases her and she can't get back to her. So she runs back to the office to ask her boss, hey, what was Lindsay here for? And she finds her boss murdered. And when she runs back to her own office, she sees a text unsent sitting on her phone that says, don't ask, don't follow. And it's from Lindsay. And Beth is a little sister of Lindsay, and she's heard this her entire life, don't ask, don't follow, which she barely and rarely listens to. So, of course, needs to get to the bottom of why Lindsay was at the law firm, especially when the police start asking and first think Beth might be involved and then think Lindsay's involved. So in the murder. So yeah, the problem is she's going to risk blowing up a whole bunch of her life by doing this. But, Beth's tenacious. All my characters have a lot of tenacity. they don't take no for answers. Very important. So, yeah. So I'm excited for that one, though.
That sounds very exciting. And so you've also had time to work a little bit of traveling into your recent events. So can you tell us a little bit about that and hopefully how it applies to maybe some of your books?
Well, I do. I travel quite a bit. I love international travel and just got back from Europe, Sicily, Malta area. And so, so does it work? It was interesting when I was thinking about that. Does it work into my books? Character works into my books. The one thing I love about traveling is meeting so much diverse people in my life, whether it's on the tours that I'm on or the ship I'm on or the crew, which we always love the crew of these ships. They're just wonderful people and love to hear about their stories and that. I bring all of that back and I integrate it into character. That is really where I think I get the most benefit. Although I am 50 pages into a book that I'm writing that's set into the Mediterranean Sea, and a family is drawn to a contest, a free cruise that turns into anything but fun for the family when the daughter goes missing. So, I have a thing about missing people sometimes. Put them on the page and yank them off. So, but I don't know where that story is going to go exactly, but it was really great this last trip because I was on the Mediterranean Sea to
Yeah,
really do some research on that. So I'm hoping that that story idea will pan out. It's kind of in the works.
I can imagine that even just the vibes would be different if you're traveling or you're in a place and you're writing about that place.
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, the smells, the foods, the everything about
yeah,
them. Yeah, it's just you need to be there sometime. I mean, Google is great, and I've
right.
used it a million times, but yeah, there's nothing like being actually there. So,
Wow, that sounds amazing. Um, so I was thinking about this the other day, and your books are all very character oriented. They all really dig deep into a character, their growth or development. And what part of your background leads you into that? To dig into that. And I know I didn't ask you that before, but
no, that's great. I was thinking about that the other day because one of the things that you'll notice in at least the first 5 books, I don't do it so much in my new book that's coming, but I dig into grief quite a bit. A lot of my characters are dealing with grief. And unfortunately, that is an aspect that I know a lot about. I've had a lot of death in my family, brother and family and stuff. So I think as an author, I'm working to heal a little bit of myself in all of this. So I really love character driven novels. So I love plot, of course, but I just think that really you need to have that character. The engine has to be the character. You have to want to be with that. And so when I dig into that character, I really look at some place that character can grow and that somebody can see something in of themselves maybe. And a lot of people will say, what are you hoping to get when you write a book? Well, I want to entertain you. Obviously, I write murder mystery, I write genre fiction. I want you to be involved in the puzzle. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being that would like to connect with people on a human level. And so I write characters with human emotion. And if one person looks at that and it helps them move forward, then that is such a bonus to me. But because I know writing them is cathartic for me. So yeah.
that's amazing. So, okay, if that's what helps you to get past stuff is writing them, what kind of stuff do you read?
Well, no, I'd read mystery. I mean, I love mystery,
Yeah.
but I don't always look for it necessarily. I mean, the best stuff is when you don't even know you're needing it or whatever, but then you find something that you can relate to. So I don't
Mhm.
pick books based on that. I look for an interesting plot. It's always a bonus when the character just sucks you in and you like, oh, and I feel that way with movies or, everything. So, but I read a lot of, suspense, thriller, domestic suspense, and of course I've always got my favorites of Ivanovich and Sue Grafton, and I was a huge Mary Higgins Clark, Faye Kellerman, all those. I'm always, but the characters of all of those books are just fascinating and constantly moving through process, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Wendy and I are both very character people. We prefer snark personality. If they're bland, we're just kind of like, yeah.
you probably liked P.I. Kelly Pruitt then. She has a little bit of snark going on.
We absolutely did. She was a lot of fun. And not that Jax isn't. He's just very different.
Yeah, Abby's a little bit more snarky, his ex-wife. But then she feels, sometimes she's, triggered.
Validated.
Times.
So you worked in the legal field first.
Mhm.
And you do write aspects of the legal field in your book. How much of that did you gain from working there, and how much do you have to research with people or talk to people now? Because there's different aspects of the legal field.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I was a paralegal secretary for 18
Okay.
years. I think where I draw is that I understand the legal system.
Okay.
And so that's what I draw from. I mean, laws change, policies change.
Mhm.
When I was writing the book in June, I was actually asking my sister, who's still in the legal field, so what website do they go for to get this kind of so I
Yeah.
don't know all the logistical stuff, but I have a great resource group. I have a cold case detective who moved on and is a Clark County sergeant now, the sheriff's department. He is my go-to guy when I need
Mhm.
anything logistical or procedural checked. And then like I said, my sister is in the legal field as well, and I have lawyer friends that I still chat with, so it's very easy to get anything checked. So I would say my basic understanding of the law and just kind of my personality, I kind of have that justice type of personality, which is why I write what I write, because justice has to be served at the end because it's rarely served anywhere else, right? So I got to serve it in the books. I have some of that, and then whatever I don't know, I always double check. So.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of research. How much time do you spend researching your books before you can start writing your books, or do you do it throughout?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a pantser, so I don't wait. Usually I just go. Sometimes I have to stop and I put a little note that says, go double check this, go double check this.
Yeah.
Or as I hit it, I send the email off and keep on writing. And then when I get the answer, I may have to go back and tweak it a little bit, or, align with the truth of the matter of what I should or shouldn't have done. So, but that's all part of the fun process. So usually I get answers within a day, so I don't have to wait too long.
Oh, well, that's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you write full time, or is it just part time?
I write full time. Yeah, no, I'm fully retired as of this summer. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, we sold our company and I'm retired. But even before that, I was able, because we were self-employed, I was able to kind of have a nice schedule anyway. But at least my brain is fully available now. So all I can do is write. And no, I love to write, but I put about 4 or 5 hours a day in, 5 to 6 days a week usually. So
Just writing, or writing and marketing? Because marketing is a whole nother job.
yeah, marketing. I'm not very good at marketing. I don't spend a ton of time marketing. I do and I don't, because I have social media. I do that, and I try to do it organically. I don't spend a lot of time. I kind of see what's available, what I need to do that, and get back to writing, because that's really my love. I do this for the love of my writing. So.
And so you're more into the marketing for the relationships.
Yeah.
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 That's really cool.
I want you to buy my book, but I have more fun talking and connecting with people than anything.
Yeah. That's a lot of fun. I'm glad you're able to do that. And it gives you time to do that finally, to focus on what you enjoy.
Yes. Yeah, the creating process is the best part of it. So
yeah. And which of your books has been your favorite to write?
That's a great question. I really like Deadly Tides. I think it's really cool. I liked Hidden Pieces. I love the Misty Pine series. It's probably my favorite so far that I've ever written. Although I did just I have a draft of a book that might be my first if it gets published. I'll be able to tell you about it, but my agent's got it right now, so I don't know. It's a game book. So a couple playing games that didn't go so well. But that was probably my favorite. But as my published books, The Misty Pines. I love Deadly Tides. I love that it's gritty. It's a little grittier than I've written before with The Severed Feet, but I just found that so intriguing because it is an actual phenomenon that happens in our area, up in the Salish Sea, they call it, and the way that the tides are, it actually brings a body part in. It's just terrible, but it's just so intriguing to me.
It's fascinating. I mean, it's fascinating. Not great, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, and one of the things that I don't really talk about, but one of the reasons I chose a surfer in this is because my husband's Hawaiian, and I really wanted a book that I could talk to him about and get his expertise, because he was a surfer on the islands for a long time. And just to be able to like connect with him on that was a lot of fun, and just say, hey, I've got a surf legend. What do I need to be doing, on this? So yeah, so
That's
it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like you really like Jax too.
Oh, I love Jax. Yeah, he's my guy, Jax Turner. I do. I just think he's really complex, and I think he's just a really good guy at the heart of it. So, and I guess I understand him because, like I said, I grew up with men like him. So, kind of like, tough on the outside, gooey on the inside, just nice. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, unfortunately, our time is running out for today, but is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners?
No, I just, I think you'd enjoy the books if you pick them up, and would love to have you join my newsletter or check out my website, which is
How can they find you?
Mary Keliikoa.com, and just exactly how it spells right on my title.
I will put it in the notes of the caption so that everybody can find it and just click the link.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. And we are looking forward to seeing your next book coming out. And I need to go grab Deadly Tides. So I will see you later.
Thank you, Gina. Take care. Aloha.